back to Goddamn Chapter Chumps, a goddamn reading podcast where three goddamn guys read a goddamn book and then talk about it, for Christ's sake. I'm your host, Connor. I'm joined as ever by my two co-hosts, Connor and Josh. Connor Boy and Joshy Kid. And we're your chumps here to talk some chapters. Today on the podcast, we're going to be talking about J.D. Salinger's The Catcher in the Rye. We're discussing chapters 16 through 20 today. This is our penultimate episode. Can you believe it?
Not really, actually.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. It's gone by fast.
So far, we have stuck to our reading schedule. We only need to be diligent for one more week, and we'll have truly read a book with no misses in the schedule.
Crazy. That's a first for us, right? Is that a first? It's got to be a first.
Time machine. Yeah. We did the time machine in 3 weeks, didn't we?
Did we? I don't know. I feel like we took a break.
Did we miss one? Or did we miss one by accident?
I feel like we missed a week.
I feel like we might have. Yeah, I think this might be our first perfect game. This is like that episode of Scrubs where no one's died, and Dr. Cox is like, "You're pitching a perfect game there, newbie." You know.
But we are. This feels like jinxing ourselves to fuck up next week.
Only if you fuck up, Connor. I'm sorry to put it all on you, but
I mean, no, it could be. I mean, you don't know what's gonna happen next week. You're gonna be like, "Oh, I gotta do this thing with the school. It says this thing happened, and oh, guys, I'm sorry, I can't do the podcast this week."
It's possible.
Nope. We actually read the time machine in 3 weeks.
Oh, we
really?
did. We read the time machine in 3 weeks.
I went back and checked our Blue Sky profile because I actually remember writing out that the Chumps actually stuck to the schedule and managed to read a whole book in only 3 weeks.
Wow.
Okay.
So 3 months ago.
I still feel like that didn't feel like
it was a shorter book. It was a
Yeah.
shorter book. Yes, this is also still a relatively short book. It's less than 3 pages.
but the time machine is pretty much a novella.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, just under 300 pages is not bad. This is a real book we're reading.
It's got some meat on its bones.
Yeah.
Well, that's because it's big font, but
going back to Scrubs though, guys.
Yes.
Obviously they just started filming the Scrubs reboot, or not. It's not. They're calling it the Scrubs reboot, but it's not really a reboot. That would mean there's new actors playing the character. Like there would be a new JD,
right.
But no, it's the old. It's a continuation.
Yeah, we'll get the reboot in maybe the next 7 to 10 years.
Yeah, and we'll have one of the good kids from Stranger Things will be JD. But no. I saw that it's going to be coming out in early 2026, which is crazy.
Yes.
It feels like crazy soon.
Wow.
yeah, but it's also American television, so that's
I know the pace is faster.
Surprising.
But we're gonna have to podcast about it when it happens.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to put Chapter Chumps on ice.
We might have to put Chapter Chumps on ice
we're gonna have to put the whole
a little
podcast
bit.
on hold.
Yeah,
for Scrubs.
We call it like My Scrubs Podcast or something.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's just we can't squander that opportunity.
No, I mean, I'm ready to pivot hard. I think we might jettison everything we've done up to that point, and we're just going to be like the Scrubs guys.
Scrubs guys, and then obviously Scrubs, is a wildly popular TV show. Popular. It's like pretty much as big as Friends, and Seinfeld. So it's and
no one else is going to be talking about it when this comes out.
That's the thing. In all honesty, though, I'm joking. Scrubs is not even close to Friends or Seinfeld or Office level. So we actually might be the only podcast talking about Scrubs. So
There's no way. No, Connor, there's no way.
Yeah, there's
People
no
are going to
way.
be talking about Scrubs.
Besides, no, I mean, well, the only dedicated. You think there's going to be more Scrubs fan podcasts?
I think they might be
Yes.
popping up in the wake of this reboot. Yes,
There might be a few, but like I feel like the only other one is the one that fucking Zach Braff and Donald Faison host.
Yeah, I mean, true. I don't think there is currently another like fan active Scrubs podcast. But then again, I haven't done any digging. There might
No, I mean we'll see. You know, I guess the idea will be that we're gonna just be talking about the new episodes, but there's, I mean, tempting to talk about the series as a whole. It really is.
I know. It
I've been
really
meaning to do a
is.
rewatch.
It
It would be
is.
so much fun to just dig into that from a present, you know, like the 2025 lens.
Yeah. I mean, just
But I also
imagine.
don't want to give up reading. So
I mean, us. No. I mean, we're only talking crap over here, Josh. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, anyways, right, Connor?
Well, no, I mean, I don't know. I mean, no, like in all seriousness, I would be more than happy to put this down for I think it's gonna be, how many episodes is it gonna be? 8 episodes?
Right, it couldn't be
It's
that
not
long.
gonna be.
It would be kind of like when we were talking about Dune, like the Dune
Yeah.
prophecy.
Yeah,
Really.
exactly. So I mean, that would be fine. We just have to discuss it and take a vote and all that.
Yeah.
But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah. We'll get some more info.
But then if that podcast really takes off,
I mean, all Scrubs all the time, baby.
oh, then it'll be all Scrubs all the time. We can't,
Yeah.
you know, we'll have to pivot, but we'll see.
I'll sell my soul. I don't care.
Yeah, no, same. I mean, it's not even selling. We genuinely do love Scrubs, so it's like not really a selling your soul kind of thing.
I mean, you're
It's
right.
It's not like we're actually gonna be doing a Taylor Swift podcast or something. You know.
No, you're right. But I mean, I do think Scrubs is worse than reading any book.
I mean, objectively, yes.
Yeah,
100%.
So, I don't know, like from that perspective. You know what I was going to ask? We keep calling this the Scrubs reboot, and you're like, yeah, it's not a reboot. I get it.
Yeah.
But does anyone know? Is there any official like? Is this supposed to be Scrubs season 10, or is this going to be like Scrubs mystery subtitle no one knows about?
I don't know if there's going to be a subtitle or not, but it is a continuation from season 9.
Right. So it might really
It
just
is.
be Scrubs.
I mean, yes, but I think it's going to be like, you know, I saw a picture from filming and like the clapperboard or whatever says Scrubs season 1 episode 1. So they're starting fresh with season 1, but both Bill Lawrence and Zach Braff have confirmed it's well, the big question was, are you guys going to retcon season 9? Because that's the med school spin-off season. And the answer is no. They're not going to. I think they're not going to retcon it, but they're not going to like acknowledge it.
Right.
Like, I think they're back at Sacred Heart proper, because they were at the university med whatever for that season, and because I think they like Judy Ray is the actress who plays Carla, was like, oh, they were able to recreate the hospital like perfectly. So I think they're back at Sacred Heart proper, which, if I remember correctly, in season 9 they said that it was demolished. So I don't know what the rationale for that's going to be, but we'll see. Maybe med school was all JD's fantasy.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
That's
it's weird because I just don't remember season 9 at all. So.
Oh no,
Neither
you're
do
not.
I think I saw like one episode.
Well,
you didn't watch all?
No, I don't think I did.
This will all be discussion for the future podcast.
Yeah, I don't know if I've even watched all of like Scrubs proper. I know I've watched a lot of it, but
all right, guys, we're gonna
I've probably seen
cancel
it,
the rest of Catcher in the Rye. We're not reading it. Let's jump in. Okay, Scrubs season 1 episode 1. My first day.
I mostly meant like I probably missed like 1 or 2 episodes because that was like college.
That's kind of a weird way to phrase that.
Yeah.
There's a pretty big difference between I never finished the show properly and I only missed 1 or 2 episodes.
Yeah, because I mean, like when I was going, like I remember going through like a watch through on like Netflix or whatever it was 12 years ago. So it's possible there was like an episode I missed or something.
But it's just like Scrubs is a show where you can miss episodes and say you watched the whole
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah, but I've seen most of it. Is what I'm trying to convey.
Well,
You're nitpicking.
The series finale proper, the season 8 finale.
I know I've seen that.
Yeah, it was perfect. It was perfect. It was a perfect ending to the show. And then they had to make season 9. Yeah, which I'm not somebody who I'm like they didn't tarnish the legacy of Scrubs. Like, who gives a shit, But yeah, season 9 wasn't great, and it should have just been a spinoff. Anyways, guys, moving on. It's not a Scrubs podcast yet.
Yeah, this is just a sneak peek into what you'll almost 100% be getting shortly after 2026.
Yeah, it's happening. Sorry, guys.
Once we get into the new year, no more reading. Books are over.
Books are so last year.
Yeah. Books, who needs them?
Let's burn them all.
What could go wrong? Yeah.
What a novel idea.
Ooh.
All right, that was a good pun.
Look at this guy over here.
All right.
So we're gonna talk about chapter 16 through 20 of Catcher in the Rye. Before I get to my chapter summary or overview, Connor, you want to crack open that biography, flip to a random page, and get us started talking about Salinger here?
I sure do. I've got it in my hands right now.
In the other room.
What was the last quote that we had? What was that about? Was that about
It was like he didn't care about money or.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna open it up to a new random page, and let's see what we got. All right. This is a good one. Well, I actually don't know. The fireplace was clotted with crumpled writing paper and garbage. You could almost smell the mustiness through the glass. Startled, Salinger, dressed in jeans, tennis shoes, and a white shirt, got up and walked over to the door. Kicking aside a piece of 2x4 that kept the glass door shut, he opened the door. "You look much better now," Salinger said. "Are you still reporting?" Clarkson said he was. There you go. Jeremy Clarkson from Top Gear.
Uh-huh. Who wrote this book?
Paul Alexander.
Paul Alexander. Okay.
I get the idea that like this Clarkson person was a journalist that's pestering Salinger.
Yeah.
That's my impression.
Okay.
And Salinger is not really a man who is very superficial or seems to take care of himself in much of a manner, huh?
It seems like that might be the case.
It's a musty garbage fireplace.
Yeah, clotted with crumpled writing paper and garbage, yeah.
That's got to make you feel a little good about yourself, right, Connor?
I don't know what that means, but
well,
does it make you feel good about yourself too?
No. It would. Oh. There's no reason it would make me feel good about myself. I'm just saying, like, for you.
What are you implying? I don't understand.
Well, like, if Salinger, can like make it and be like this well-respected artist and like live within like garbage and like clotted garbage and stuff, then then like you're like well on your way is all I'm saying, right?
I still don't know what you're trying to say.
I'm just saying, like, I've been in your car, that's all.
All right, I knew it was about the fucking car. Yeah, like, all right. Yeah. Okay, fine. I'll admit it. I have an issue with garbage in my car. That's true. Okay. I have long said, like, you can tell how I'm doing mentally by looking inside my car.
Yeah.
And if garbage is piling up, then I'm doing great.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's an inverse effect, isn't it?
The
When
car
your
is the
car's when
the
his
car is the
car's too
vehicle to your
clean-
inner mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the truth.
When the car's too clean, I get worried. I'm like, what?
What's happened to my friends?
Yeah. You know I'm only yanking your chain right there, buddy.
Oh yeah, yeah, I know.
You know I'm only
Yeah.
yanking your chain. Come on.
yeah. I know. Believe
We
me, I
have
know.
fun here on Chapter Chumps. Don't you worry.
We have so much fucking fun.
A lot of goddamn fun on here.
We have so much goddamn fun around here.
Yep.
Kills me.
It kills
Just
me.
kills me.
It kills me. It really does. It really does. All right, guys, let's get into our chapter discussion. Josh, when did you read these chapters here, I wonder?
Yesterday, actually. Been a busy week for me, so that was all I could really get to it.
How busy was it?
Busy.
Okay.
Well, pretty busy. Pretty busy. Josh probably had to clean out his car, right?
No, actually, my car's in the shop right now dealing with bumper repairs. So
There's always something going on with your car. Isn't that true, Connor?
Yep.
It feels
Doesn't it
like
feel like
it.
there's
Yeah.
always something happening with Josh's car?
It feels
Well,
like
it used to
it.
be because I drove an old car until like 5 months ago, and now it's a new car, and I happen to have a small accident in August, and I'm finally getting it fixed.
All right, fair enough, but it's like, geez, it's. Do you feel like you're cursed a little bit?
Maybe a tiny bit.
Yeah.
There's always some sort of car story in my family. It's usually my dad, but he's not traveling as much anymore, so less so, I guess.
So you've kind of been like the curse was transferred to you, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Possibly. Hopefully not. He almost got killed by a Dumbo ride.
By a Dumbo ride?
Yeah, one of those spinning teacup carnival rides on the highway. Fell off the truck, apparently. Yeah.
Wait,
this is
so
like
they were
15, 20
transporting
years
a
ago.
carnival ride.
Yeah, it's like a carnival ride. My dad just shorthands it the Dumbo, because it's like the the rocket chips or the Dumbo elephant.
Yeah.
Spins in a circle and you go up and down. It just fell off the truck like 20 years ago.
So like Final Destination style.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's almost.
Except he didn't die. Yeah.
And instead of a tree or a log, it was a Dumbo.
Or some other, carnival animal, but yeah, essentially.
It's crazy. Well,
I can't believe your dad never told me.
He tells the story all the time. You probably just don't remember. Or
I'm
sure I've mentioned it before.
That's actually probably that's pretty likely.
You think? Yeah. Oh. Well, yeah, maybe so. There's a lot of things I forget. I forget way more than I remember, so it's possible.
Yeah, no, same here. Your dad's a funny guy though, so I feel like he probably has mentioned it before.
Yeah, he has a lot of driving stories from like 20 years ago when it was like all he did. So, yeah.
I see. Well, Josh, watch out for Dumbo. Don't ever go down under the Manhattan-Brooklyn overpass. Don't ever...
There's tons of Dumbos down there.
Watch that fucking movie from the... When did Dumbo come out? The 30s? It's fucking old. I don't know.
Yeah, before Catcher in the Rye.
I think so.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think so.
Let's look it up. Dumbo. Oh wow, 1941. So yes, but pretty close.
Yeah. Yeah, it's old. Talking about reboots and shit. The Dumbo movie that
Oh, Connor, I didn't even realize what you were saying about the fucking Manhattan Bridge overpass. Under the Manhattan Bridge overpass, Dumbo.
Yeah, I'm a city
guy.
Dumbo,
Brooklyn. You are a city.
I'm a city guy, baby.
You're officially a city guy. That's what it took to prove it to me.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's actually, it's funny reading through Catcher in the Rye.
I know. I know, because it's your neck of the woods.
It's my neck of the woods, and Holden will even be. There was a chapter in this section where he's like, "Oh, if you don't know the city, or like if you haven't been to the city," he's like describing this place. I'm like, "Oh, I've been to the city."
You're like, oh, I know all about that place. I know
Yeah.
all about this place. And
Yeah.
guess what, Holden? It's only gotten crazier around here.
Yeah. City that.
Josh,
never...
did you understand what Connor was saying when he was doing saying Dumbo under the
Not really.
Manhattan Bridge overpass?
Nope, I didn't quite clock that. So thank you for
Yeah,
explaining.
down under the Manhattan Bridge over. I had no idea. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You guys see the Dumbo movie that came out in 2019?
That's what I was going to talk
Nope.
about, actually, because that was directed by Tim Burton. And
Oh my God, it was? Jesus Christ.
I'm pretty damn sure, yeah. And Danny DeVito was in it, and it made me cry.
What?
Yes, Connor.
Why? Wow.
It made me cry. Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
I
because
actually
it was
no.
emotional or because it was bad?
It was emotional. No, I am actually listen. I'm a Dumbo. I'm a Tim Burton Dumbo defender, which sounds crazy.
Wow. Yeah.
But
Okay.
let me say on the record, that movie's got shooters, all right, and I'm one of them. So
wow, yeah, Michael Keaton, Colin Farrell, Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
What a cast.
Bill Murray's probably in there too.
Bill Murray plays the elephant.
If you keep
Dumbo.
scrolling, yeah. All right, Josh is right. We got to talk about Catcher in the Rye. Let's get into our fucking. Let's talk about these 5 chapters here.
All right.
Yeah.
So, chapter 16. I read over the course of a few days here, actually. This is like the first time I didn't read it all in one go. So I'm going to look through my notes. So chapter 16, Holden's still killing time before his date. He takes a cab to the park to see about meeting his sister. He's thinking, hey, maybe old Phoebe's at the park. She's not there, but he talks to another girl, like a young child, who suggests she might be at the National History Museum. And Holden walks all the way there, even though he knows she isn't really there because it's a Sunday. And he thinks about all the times that he went to this museum as when he was a child. And then when he finally gets there, he's like, oh, the last thing I want to do actually is go in there anymore. And he takes a cab back to meet up with Sally for the date. Chapter 17, Holden and Sally actually meet up for their date. They go to this show called like the Lunch Show. And so they don't actually go to a movie.
I thought that was the actors.
Oh, okay.
Starring
Maybe.
in the
Yeah, that's like they're the main,
like the lead actor.
Yeah, the main actors who are like celebrities.
Well, Holden keeps calling it like the Lunch, because that's what he does. But anyways, they don't actually go to a movie. They go to this like a Broadway show, I think. And Holden feels like he's surrounded by phonies. He keeps going back and forth between feeling like he's in love with Sally and he hates her. Eventually, they end up at the Radio City Hall skate rink, and they grab a drink after, and Holden launches into this conversation about if Sally ever gets fed up or if she hates school or not. And Holden's like, let's leave right now. Let's go to a cabin in Vermont, and we'll just have a life together until all my money runs out and I'll get a job. And
he can be a madman sometimes.
Yeah, he really can. He really can. And yeah, Sally's like, Holden, I love you too, but this is, kind of crazy. This doesn't make any sense. And then Holden is like, oh, you can, really be an ass or really get on my nerves or whatever he says. He
says you're a real, you can be a real pain in the ass to me sometimes.
Right. And so the whole thing implodes from there.
Yep.
And Holden ends up leaving her. She keeps telling him to just get out of there, and Holden ends up going. Chapter 18, he's like figuring out what to do now. He calls Jane, but there's no answer. he calls this guy Carl Luce, who he knew from one of his various schools he went to, and they plan to go out drinking later that day at 10 o'clock. So Holden still has a bunch of hours to kill, and he actually does go see a movie, and
Wild.
yeah, he talks about the movie.
It sounds pretty good.
I don't know. Sounds like it would make me puke. It's no Dumbo 2019.
I mean, it might make you cry.
Yeah, it might. It might. That's true. And then after the movie, he starts walking to the bar, and he's thinking about war, and he's thinking about all this stuff with his brothers, DB and Allie. And then chapter 19, he's at the bar. He has this whole conversation with old Luce. And what a conversation it is about Luce's sex life. Yep. And Holden's getting drunker and drunker. He gets really fucking drunk.
Uh-huh.
And so chapter 20, this section ends where he goes out to the phone booth. He calls Sally. The grandma picks up. Grandma's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Sally answers the phone. Holden has this whole drunk conversation with her. He hangs up the phone. He goes back into the bar. He's completely fucking gone. He meets up with like the piano player.
Yep.
And he's like, get the fuck out of here. You're drunk and you're obviously 16. Holden's just like laughing the whole time. Holden like washes his face in this wash bowl. He goes outside, decides to go to the park. It's freezing outside. He decides to go look for the ducks. All the water from the wash bowl is like freezing into his hair. And then he starts like going down this mental spiral where he thinks he's getting pneumonia and he's going to die right there in the park.
Mm-hmm.
And so then he has like this fucking, extended Scrubs JD fantasy where he dies from pneumonia in the park, and he imagines, what his funeral's like and how everyone reacts. And, he thinks it's fucking stupid and he hates it. And he doesn't want to do that to old Phoebe. And so he finally decides, he's like, I'm not staying here. I'm going to go back to my home, to my actual home here in the city. I'm going to sneak in. I'm going to have a conversation with old Phoebe, and I'm going to try to sneak in without my parents finding out, even though we got this exceptionally squeaky door. And that's where our chapter ends.
Well, first, though, he hangs out in the phone booth for a while and thinks about people to call, and then eventually calls Sally's house again, and her mother answers, or grandmother answers.
Yeah, he talked about that.
Oh, you mentioned that?
Drunk?
Yeah, he must have spaced out, buddy. Sorry.
I must have spaced out.
So, I threw that in there. We have a lot to talk about here. I don't, I really don't know. I would say, just like straight off the cuff, this section of the book is sort of like Holden's grand unraveling, and yes, like there's been from the moment he got out of Pensy, we've been saying like, oh, it's very clear that Holden is not in the right frame of mind to be doing this. He's not like mentally stable. He doesn't have a clear perception. Like that's been obvious since he's left Pensy, at least.
Yep.
And so, over the course of reading through this book, it's definitely been like kind of this slow degradation, and it really feels like shit hits the fan in this section in some ways. What do you guys want to start with? What do you make all that? I don't know. What should we talk about?
I had a couple notes that were just like, yikes, that language is a little dated in the beginning.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, like literally the second page of this reading, page 149. He's talking about the record that he got for Phoebe, Little Shirley Beans, and how the singer on this version of the record, Estelle Fletcher, was very good at it. But the words he described were, she sings it very Dixieland and whorehouse, and it doesn't really sound all that mushy. If a white girl was singing it, she'd make it sound cute as hell, but old Estelle Fletcher knew what the hell she was doing, and it was one of the best records I'd ever heard.
Yeah.
And I think he threw Colored in there at one point as well, just before that.
Yeah, that's the
So
dated
yeah.
part, really. I mean, the whorehouse thing, people could use that phrasing today as a compliment, and you know, like, and it really wouldn't even be. I mean, it depends on who coming from who, like, but
I'm not sure.
I mean, you know, not you specifically, but you know,
Right.
Somebody could say that, and it could be complimentary. Depending on what kind of person says that.
Would
Yeah.
you say that complimentary?
I
Would
wouldn't
you
say
say-
that. No, no,
Oh,
no, no,
okay.
no. I
Gotcha.
couldn't do it. Holden couldn't do it either. But I'm just saying.
Oh,
And
I'm just saying. Got it.
I'm just saying. But no, I mean, he's very complimentary about this singer, and but no, it's definitely like not I mean, I don't know. It's not the worst thing that somebody from that time period could say. You know what I mean?
yeah, I kind of think it's one
Yeah.
of those like, oh, he's got the spirit, but you know, it's maybe
Yeah.
it's just not coming out quite right because
Exactly.
I think he's trying to point to like, oh well, if like it was some little white girl, then you know she would just ham it up because she thinks she's all that, and
Yeah,
you
I mean,
know
it's
she's
Yeah.
God's gift
he's
to
using
the
cute
world.
he's using cute in a derogatory sense,
Yeah,
and
Mhm.
whore in a complimentary sense.
Little weird, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, even so, I think Josh is right that it's like a thing to point to where it's like, oh yeah, I mean, it was written in the 50s, like. Yeah, maybe it's not like the worst thing we've. It's no Washington Irving who was just like, oh, this is like openly racist, but
Yeah.
but it does kind of point to like, okay, like what's normalized right now, you know, what's okay to say, you know, without thinking about it in your you know your book that you're.
I mean,
you're publishing.
Salinger was a woke king back in the day. You know, he was woke as hell for the time period.
You haven't opened up to any pages in his biography about
That's
that.
why they canceled him.
No. Hey, maybe so. Maybe so. You read enough random pages, you'll start putting the pieces together. I don't know. There was, as long as we're talking about language, there was one other thing here that you're probably all like, oh yeah, that. But when he meets Carl Luce at the bar and he keeps talking about these guys like looking flitty, I had
Yes.
never,
Oh yeah.
I had
It took me a
never
minute
even heard that
to code
before.
that one.
Yeah.
No, me
Yeah.
either. Yeah, no, I hadn't heard that before either. That's interesting language.
But it eventually became clear. It's like, oh, this is like an old slur for queer people. You know, this
Yeah.
is a
Yep.
derogatory term. It's not. So, yeah, I don't know. A mixed bag for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you know,
There's also another one I found when he goes to the he's thinking about the museum. He's referring to an Indian woman weaving one of the mannequins as a squaw, and it's like, ooh, yeah, that one definitely does apply today.
yeah, I didn't really think about that, but you're right. I just wanted to mention about the whole like, okay, Holden referring to, you know, these people who he thinks are gay. They might not even be gay. He just thinks the way they look.
Yeah,
He's like,
they
these
have long
guys
hair.
look gay, yeah. You know, I don't know. I was a little bit surprised. I kind of felt like, well, you know, Holden being like this sort of outsider type and someone who, you know, has a lot of disdain and snobbery for people who kind of like go along with mainstream society, like the audience of people watching the movie, right? He refers to them as kind of like clapping buffoons. You know, they're the masses. They're the fucking morons who are
The
just
common clay of
gonna
the West.
yeah, they're just gonna respond exactly as the way the filmmaker intends, and play them like a, you know, like a fiddle, because they got nothing going on upstairs. And so I guess I kind of thought there for Holden there might be a recognition or some kind of an idea where it's like, oh well, you know, to be queer openly or closeted, whatever, you know, like is to go against a mainstream society, especially in the time in which this book is written. And yet, like, he doesn't seem to have any respect for that at all. And I'm it's not like I was like, oh, I thought Holden was gonna be an LGBTQA plus ally. What happened? It's like I'm not looking for that from Holden Caulfield. But to me, it did seem a little bit, it was like maybe somewhat contradictory in an interesting way that I think shows like his immaturity and the ways that like he still is predisposed to go along with many things that are told to him. You know, I think that
Yeah.
this kind of shows that he's internalized, you know, the normalization of misogyny and masculinity, and like, and he's kind of blind to that, the ways in which that he's part of the majority.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yep.
You're absolutely right. I think it's you know, what's interesting to me is like it's very casual homophobia.
Sorry.
It's not like pointed or like really you know, he's not angry about it or
Yeah.
but it's like it's just baked in to the you know to the interaction and his thought process, like it's totally normal. um which I mean, I imagine that's the most common type of homophobia. I mean, even to this day, you know,
Today,
it's
right?
like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, um people don't have to be foaming at the mouth, you know, ranting and raving on Twitter to show their biases. So yeah, I don't know. You know, it's like one of those things where it's like if he was around today, I think he, you know, might be different, but he's like an outsider, but also an outsider to outsiders. But I don't know, still succumbs to the same. Um, well, you know, the thing too is it's like Holden is he has this kind of duality to him where he wants to be loved or doesn't want to be alone, but also pushes everyone away. And
Mhm.
Yep.
so he doesn't really want to be ostracized from the crowd. You know, it's like, because if he was accepting of homosexuality, you know, he wouldn't have, you know, he wouldn't be able to fuck around with the jocks as much, or you know, he wouldn't have um the ability to shit talk with the boys like he likes to do, and also rag on them and the way that he can, you know. So it's just it's one of those things where I don't know, it's probably just easier for him to not reckon with that, I guess, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, it does. And talking about like shit talking with the boys, as long as you guys are good to maybe shift to another point, but that makes me think about when he's talking with Carl Luce at the bar, and before he actually gets into the conversation, Holden, like, you know, kind of recounts some of his memories with about Carl, and he's like, oh yeah, you know, old Luce, he's one of the few guys I knew who like actually had sex, and you know, he would talk about uh you know, everything he knew about sex. He would almost be like this weird like sex educator for like all the guys, and
Yeah,
like
he kept giving them the sex talk. He's like, does it mean like the talk, or does it just mean like he was bragging?
I think I mean both.
Yeah.
I mean, I get the feeling that it's pretty much just bragging, but this loose guy has like a superiority complex and wants and is like framing it as educating the boys, but really
Yeah.
he's just bragging.
Yeah. But what I thought was funny about that is like, Holden talks about all this stuff, and then when it gets into the conversation, those are the only things that Holden references the whole time. He's like, "Hey, what about all that time you told us about all that sex you had, right?" And Carl's just like, "Dude, why are you yelling this out loud in a bar right now?" Like,
Yeah.
and I
You get the
guess
impression that's not really his personality either. Like
I don't know. I think
maybe it was back then, but it's very much like he's a
I
different
mean,
person. He's changed. He's moved on. He's a
I
different
don't even
person
know.
than what Coleman
Maybe,
remembers.
but
At least
I
in
think
that moment.
I mean, at least according to Holden, it's like he wants to talk about what he wants to talk about. So they weren't on the same page. I mean, this Carl Luce guy, I really I know people like this, and
Mhm.
they drive me crazy too. I don't like them. They're very annoying, and so to me they're infinitely more annoying than the Holden Caulfield types, um, just because they're kind of a little bit snobby and elitist, and they want to control the conversation. And Holden is very annoying in his own way, obviously. Um, and he even admits as things go on, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm kind of yelling about sex in this bar and I shouldn't be doing that, but
yeah.
but I don't know, I related to the kind of rapport they had, I guess, because I definitely did play the Holden Caulfield type in that kind of interaction back in the day.
Yeah, where people are just talking at you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny that, the two of you have a different read on it, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit in the middle. Yeah.
I don't want to be like this guy is completely different from what Caulfield was saying in his little diatribe. I'm just saying, like, in this moment, this guy clearly does not want to discuss what Holden wants to discuss. I mean, that's obvious, but like, he doesn't seem like he's completely like a sex pest sort of
Well,
thing.
I mean, he's just full of shit. He's talking about I'm kind of into Eastern philosophy these days, and the way that they
I mean, yeah, still full of
like,
shit.
it's like I mean, he's just
Yeah.
like, come on. I don't doubt for a second that if he was in a group full of guys and wanted to impress them, that he would go into telling them about
So
his
you're
escapades.
so you're just fully on board with Caulfield. That's what you're
I
saying.
mean, pretty much, yeah. I mean, well, not about the yelling about sex thing. He got drunk and took it too far, and
Yeah,
that's
no,
all he wanted to
that's
talk
too far.
about.
You're
But
what I mean is you believe Caulfield's description of him.
yes, I 100% do about this guy. Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big difference, I think, with a lot of things, like, we kind of keep coming up against this. It's like, I think there's a lot of truth in the things that, like, Holden perceives and what he identifies. Like, Holden does see through things like almost like illusions of society that everyone else kind of like politely plays pretend, in order to like keep the peace. And then Holden is kind of like, hey, why does everyone fucking hate me when I'm just pointing out these things that are true? And it's like, obviously, it's because, like, the moments that he chooses to do that in and the ways in which he does that, are disruptive. Yeah, and
Yeah,
inappropriate. And
he's not for niceties, and like this guy Luce sits down and right away he's like, "Oh, remember all the sex you had? Remember you remember?"
exactly.
Like that's not like I was never in a place where I would I was never that kind of person. I
I would
mean,
never
I
want to
don't.
be that kind of person.
Yeah, I mean, but even if like that's really what you're interested in talking about, like you need to like, you know, catch up a little bit and why
Yeah.
you know broach that subject with some care or
Tact.
what yeah tact yeah exactly.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any of that, and obviously he's young and immature, and that's a big reason why. um
Yeah, I mean the big difference I think is that Luce is like acclimated and normalized enough. He knows how to play ball. He knows how to play
yeah
pretend.
yeah
If he really is, maybe this crude, sex minded, kind of hyper masculine asshole. Like let's say that that's true.
I don't know if that's if that's a great framing of him either. I think
Okay,
he
it's not.
is.
Listen, Connor, don't get hung up on these tiny points. I'm using these words to make a broader point, which is just that Luce knows how to play pretend in a public setting.
Yes, I agree with
Holden
that.
does not. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But I think when Luce like taking Holden at his and I think I do think Holden can read people very well. I think but obviously there are things you wouldn't like say, or he can't control, or he doesn't care to play pretend like Connor said. But to me, Lou seems like one of those guys who he doesn't see himself as crude or masculine. He's like the intelligent.
Yeah, he's
uh
thoughtful. Yeah,
yes,
right.
that's how he perceives himself.
But it's done
And
in service for like sexual conquest or
yes,
whatever it is, right? Yeah,
or to be braggadocious or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't. I mean, people. I don't know. People like that just really do annoy me. So I was kind of on board for this.
I get that. Okay, what about
Okay.
the point in their conversation where the thing that like Luce keeps coming back to is like, oh, same old Holden, when are you gonna grow up? When are you gonna grow up? And then that leads into the end of their conversation where Luce is like, have you ever thought about being psychoanalyzed? Remember the last time I
Yeah.
told you to do that? And
Yep.
then they kind of wrap up on this point.
Go to therapy, dude.
Holden,
It's kind
Holden's like, oh, because Luce's father is a psychoanalyst or a therapist or whatever, and so Holden's like, has your father ever psychoanalyzed you? And Luce is like, I mean, no, well, kind of, like.
Right, yeah.
It immediately explains to me why he is the way he is.
Yes.
That was a really brilliant way to show, like, okay, yeah, this guy. I mean, he's also he's fucked up in a different way, like.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yes, of course, Holden should 100% go to therapy. Like that's what we've been saying all along. He is unwell, has not processed an immense amount of trauma. Doesn't have the support system he needs to do that.
Yeah.
we find out he wasn't even able to attend his brother's funeral because he was in the hospital from punching the glass.
Yeah,
I don't think
yeah,
we covered that yet.
Yeah.
yeah. So there's so much there, but also it's I don't know. It's kind of these characters are kind of like subtly complex, and that's kind of one of my favorite things about the book. We see and hang out with Luce for just a couple pages really, and like I mean he's a pretty fleshed out character to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're right about just like those, like maybe 2 lines of dialogue at the very end of that chapter recontextualizes Luce's character right away. Because it's like,
Yeah.
it would have been
right.
so easy for Luce to have just been like, oh my God, Holden, fuck off, and then just, but it's the fact that Luce is like, no, well, actually, maybe, where you're like, okay, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Like, of course, like Luce doesn't say maybe, but it's you kind of get a window into his words that the answer is yes, actually, and Luce isn't 100%
yes. Yeah.
The way he's phrased it, not exactly. He helped me to adjust myself to a certain extent, but an extensive analysis hasn't been necessary. To me, that reads as like the kid who grew up with like the successful father, and the father kind of paid attention to him and just like corrected him to put him on what he thinks is a right path, but he hasn't like it doesn't sound like he sat down and had like a proper therapy session. I think he in that moment it read to me as like, well, he is a therapist, so he probably like that probably fed into his parentage.
Well, that's the thing. Terms. Definitely.
That's how I understood the line.
I have the impression that this psychoanalyst father was manipulating him, steering him in a certain direction his entire life. That's the immediate impression. And I totally think I can see him being neglectful as well, but only subtly steering him, leading him to these decisions that he thinks he's made on his own, that kind of thing. Very, very interesting.
And what about Luce calling Holden immature, or like saying, when are you going to grow up? I feel like this is something that becomes more apparent in this section and that other characters kind of comment on as well. Did you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think what was that?
I was saying nothing unique. I mean, like you said, other characters pointed it out, so it's like, this is just more of the same as far as I'm concerned.
I think it also shows that Luce really fancies himself as a mature grown up, and that's kind of the position he's coming from, where there's no doubt in my mind that Holden needs to, I mean, he's 16, he's only 16, so but yeah, he needs to start that maturation process, but I don't know, coming from Luce, it's like, I don't know, man. Like yeah, you're right, but like I think maybe you should go to a different psychoanalyst,
right?
Maybe both of you should go to therapy for different reasons.
Yeah.
And okay, I'm just gonna Holden starts talking to Luce, and like Holden can't even get like a full sentence in before Luce is like, oh, this again, oh, let's have a polite, calm conversation. It's just like so fucking annoying. Like, I don't know. Obviously, Holden's like talking. Well, he has one thing on his mind. He just wants to go over Luce's, exploits again or whatever. But like, why did you come here and meet with him if you're like, oh, you're gonna just be how you always are? Why did you like I don't know.
No, it's true. I think they're both trying to get something out of the conversation. Which it's like, Luce shows up. He probably does get some kind of like, I don't know, not comfort, but yeah, maybe like a sense of superiority. Like
he gets a validation.
He wants Holden to be the same person, so he can talk down to him.
100%, absolutely, and that's even before like when he calls Luce up. He's like, "Oh, I'm surprised he agreed because the last time I saw him, we got into a big fight."
Right.
I forget what it was about, but so that's definitely, I think that's just what Luce likes to do, and I don't know.
But I think there's this other. It's like Holden is interested because he says as much. Holden is interested in Luce's sex life, but I also think that like he keeps asking about it because like that's one of two things that he remembers about him. He's really intelligent and he's had sex. And I think Holden is just trying to like he thinks that because of like, oh, hanging out in their old school days, if I get old loose talking about sex, then we could be here for hours just shooting the crap.
That's a great point. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yep.
and obviously Luce doesn't respond in that way. It doesn't give him what he wants because it's not the right venue for that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I actually had a note, I think, pertaining to this. Just a realization I had at the end of chapter. What chapter is this? Shoot, where'd the note go?
I think this is 17 with Luce, maybe.
I think it's before Luce shows up, actually. It's page. I had this epiphany or realization on 178, 179, so that's in the middle of chapter 18.
Okay.
Luce
is 19, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah. So what I realized is I think Holden hates change, and the things he loves are things that don't change. Like he loves the museum, and that never. He's talking about how that never changes. And I realized this might be why he remembers Allie so fondly, is because Allie is dead, and his memories of him don't change, whereas his older brother, did change. He went
That's
to
what
war.
I said last. That's pretty much what I said last week. Is that Allie didn't have a chance to disappoint him or to sell out like everyone else did. Yeah.
No, but I think that's, I mean, slightly different language, but I think it's just the change, because
I think you're right.
DB grows up, and we find out was at D-Day, apparently. But was more of just like a chauffeur for one of the generals, apparently. And
Holden definitely has Peter Pan syndrome.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. He's fascinated by the ducks and wondering how they handle the change of the seasons, even though they seemed, from his perspective, to never change. Even though he's probably never seen the same duck there more than 2 or 3 times.
Right.
I'm trying to think of other examples now, but like every person he meets, it's when there's something that goes against his fixed idea of who they are, just briefly. That's when the turn always starts to happen in his mind. Is they've become different from who he thinks they are, and that just doesn't work for him at all.
Yeah, I think that's a really excellent point, that that Allie is kind of like in some sort of mental museum exhibit for Holden, and like that's the only way he could think of him, and yes, like the people who don't adhere to that, I definitely agree, Josh. I think you're right, and I think it's a good connection to make between the museum and Allie and all of Holden's problems with everyone else, for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Talking about the museum a little bit more, like that chapter, unless, was there anything else we want to say about old Lucy Boy before we...
I didn't have anything else about him.
I think we said enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck him. Fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy.
We all know a loose fucker. So the whole museum exhibit thing. I have a whole note down here, so I'm kind of gonna like chat about it and skim through it. Holden thinks like, yeah, certain things should stay the way they are. I said that Holden, having experienced such painful changes, it's no surprise that he feels this way. It's interesting that he recognizes when you revisit the same museum, he's like, the thing that has changed is you, and the thing that stood out to me in this chapter, apparently, Holden has 3 separate interactions with children in this chapter that he initiates each time. So there's the kid singing the Catcher in the Rye song or whatever.
Yep. Roll credits, baby.
He says that makes him feel less depressed. Of course, there's the girl he talks to in the park who he helps like tie her skates, and he says like, "Oh, she was really polite. I really appreciate that." Then at the end of the chapter, there's the kids on the seesaw. He tries to help, because they're like off balance with their weight, and
Oh,
the
I forgot
kids are
about the
just like,
seesaw
"Get
people
out of
kids.
here." Anyways, the point that I'm gonna try to land on here is Holden is kind of the one who hasn't changed, it seems like.
Yep.
Holden has like this affinity for kids, like he seems to, feel like he has some kind of like connection or like bonds, and like we kind of see that with how he talks about Phoebe and thinks about Phoebe, and it's
Allie.
No, Phoebe is Kid's sister.
And Allie, sorry, that's what I meant to
Oh,
say.
and Allie. Yeah.
Sorry. The and got stuck in my throat, sorry.
Yeah. And so when we were talking about Luce and how Luce is like, "Oh, you need to grow up. When are you going to grow up?" And Holden kind of fancies himself mature for his age, which is a big factor in this story. Holden's always drinking and trying to talk with people who are older than him, and he's showing off his gray hair. Holden thinks he's mature for his age, but like the ways in which that he like talks with kids and this whole commentary on the museum exhibit and everything, this isn't really a revelation or whatever, but I think the story is trying to drive us to this other perspective on Holden, where it's like, no, Holden's not mature for his age. He's immature for his age. Holden's mentally maybe like 12, actually, in the body of a 16-year-old boy, And whenever it was that Allie died, there's like a part of Holden that has been frozen in time in a museum exhibit that has not been able to grow. And so like when we talk about like these contradictory things or like these aspects of Holden that maybe are mature or maybe like do kind of like or they are perceptive, there are parts of Holden that are perceptive and are mature, but they're always in contention with these other parts of him. And it's like Holden contains these two halves. There's a half of him that has never ever gotten out of the garage, that he punched all those windows out of. He's still in there. And I felt like this chapter with the museum and everything really highlighted that for me.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's, true. Like part of him is, I mean, he definitely has like a form of emotional intelligence, and I think he can read people in ways that his peers aren't even thinking about, or but at the same time, he just doesn't know what to do with those with that knowledge or those feelings either. Like he doesn't have the ability to process that in a healthy way, or to to turn those feelings into appropriate actions, I guess, or
right
cope with it. So yeah, I think that's a great way to put it, is that there is a part of him that is just stagnant,
stuck
stuck in purgatory. Yeah. And so that's a huge part of why he feels like such an outsider,
Yeah.
You know what it made me think of? I'll say one more thing on it, and then I'll pass it back to either of you if there's something you want to chat about. But maybe on like a lighter note, but it kind of made me think that like in a weird way, I kind of think of Catcher in the Rye as sort of similar to a movie like Home Alone, where Macaulay Culkin is left alone in this big old house, and he has to fend for himself. He has to take care of himself. and there's like those scenes where he has to go out into the town. He goes like grocery shopping. He has to buy all these supplies and stuff. You know, he has to learn how to take care of himself. And you kind of get this. The movie really plays with this whole like, oh, it's a kid navigating the adult world, right? And
Yep.
and it's a very stark contrast because Macaulay Culkin's like 10 in that fucking movie or something. And I feel like from that kind of perspective, that's sort of how I've felt reading Catcher in the Rye ever since Holden leaves Pensy. He keeps like coming up against like this other world that he's aware of and that he lives like within and around, but he's not really a part of. And, you know, Holden like going out to a bar and getting drunk and trying to chat with like the adult performers at the bar and all that. It's like, it's not that different from Macaulay Culkin trying to like buy a toothbrush or whatever at the local fucking, you know, corner store at Home Alone.
Yeah.
If you see like the degree of separation I'm trying to like the comparison there I'm trying to make, you know, like
it's one's ironically I'd call more mature with Catcher in the Rye, but I mean that more of like a Home Alone is a family movie. Catcher in the Rye is more stark and gritty.
Yeah, and right. And so instead it's like, oh well, yeah, like this is Holden is like a kid exploring definitely like the grimier aspects of adulthood. You know, he has a prostitute come to his hotel that he's going out and getting drunk, like, but it's still like this like weird sort of exploration you know, of like someone who's not a part of this world trying to fit in, or like, you know, trying to, I don't know, become part of it, or think they're part of it. But like, it only highlights the ways in which that Holden is separated. Holden always thinks of making it work. He's like, oh yeah, suave as hell, you know. But more and more, you know, it becomes so apparent that, you know, these characters are just like, what are you doing here, you know? So I don't know. I don't have much more of a point to make there, but I feel like Catcher in the Rye is like sort of playing on this duality. Like Holden does have a duality to him. There's a reason that Salinger writes that he has like this gray hair, even though he's a 16-year-old kid, that he's tall for his age. Like, I think that Salinger writes Holden like, you know, I don't know, like I don't know, like there's parts of him where he's like a 20-something kid. There's parts of him where he's like a 10-year-old kid. And I think Salinger is trying to explore like these different aspects of like personhood and like development within the same character.
Yeah, he's like an old like an 8-year-old who you tell, oh, you have no soul, you know, like
yeah.
He was like told that as a kid, and then this is what happens.
So he's the main character from Big, is what I'm hearing.
Exactly.
yeah. Or maybe even like a Benjamin Button, you know, kind of like an old baby.
Yeah, he's aging backwards.
Okay, I think I've rambled long enough. Josh, is there something else you'd like to jump to here in this section?
Page 182, when he's going on about his brother in the army and how he'd be terrible at being in the army himself, he'd just rather just bring him right to the firing squad, I think he says at some point.
Yes.
I actually have a 3-part note here. On page 182, he's talking about his brother recommended A Farewell to Arms, and he was saying it was terrific. That's what I couldn't understand. It had this guy in it named Lieutenant Henry, who was supposed to be a nice guy and all. I didn't see how DB could hate the army and war and all that so much and still like a phony like that. He goes into this bit when I was reading the book yesterday. I was reading it. It's like he didn't like A Farewell to Arms. He did like Great Gatsby, and was trying to trying to say that he liked Great Gatsby more and couldn't figure out why anyone would like A Feral's Arms because he didn't like it. But his initial reactions to A Feral's Arms when I was reading, it was like, oh, that's me with this book, Catcher in the Rye. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm still having some trouble understanding why it's such a enduring book. But we're 80% of the way through the book. I'm clearly invested at this point. My second part of this note is he's 100% right about how well he'd handle being in the army. Like, he thinks about it briefly, like, maybe I should go to the army, or like, maybe there'd be a war one day and I'll go to the army. And it's like, you would not survive. And then he goes into like, yeah, I wouldn't survive that. It's like, okay, he at least understands that.
Yes.
And then he says at the end of this chapter, this is the end of chapter 18, anyway, I'm sort of glad they've got the atomic bomb invented. If there's ever another war, I'm going to sit right on hell on top of it. I'll volunteer for it. I swear to God I will.
Yeah.
That made me
And it's like, wow,
crack me up.
Yeah, it's like, wow, he's actually pro atomic bomb because he doesn't want to be in the war, obviously. But it's like, this is the first. I would not have pegged him as someone who is pro atomic bomb. Let me put it that way.
I mean, he's not seriously saying that. Like he's saying all of this kind of with a sarcastic bite.
Yes, but it's still like the fact that he would say it in the first place. I would peg him as more the kind of person who'd be like, how do I put this? He'd be against. Fuck, I don't even know how to put this.
Well,
even in the sarcastic tone, I would not have expected him to be like, I'm glad they have it. I'm sort of glad they have it. But
I think
at the same
if he
time,
does
it's also
grow up and goes on a healing journey, and I could see him being an empathetic pacifist person, like.
Mhm.
But where he is now, he's kind of like a proto edgelord, where it's like,
yeah.
like if he was around today, he'd tweet that shit out. He's like, "Oh, let's nuke everyone," you know.
Nuke the whales. Also,
Yeah,
that imagery of him sitting on the top of the bomb just makes me think of Doctor Strangelove, which I think
Strangelove.
actually comes after this book. So I wonder if that scene might be influenced by this book at some point.
Yeah, Strangelove is after this. I think that's in the.
And
60s.
he's wearing a hunter's cap in that movie, right?
A
He's wearing a cowboy hat. I haven't seen the movie, but I know that much.
Copy and smarmy. I think Connor was starting to get on this point, but I mean, the whole thing with the bomb, Holden's really saying, like, if there's ever a war, just vaporize me. Like, I already want to kill myself. If a war ever breaks out, then I don't want to be here anymore.
Exactly. It's
No,
like
I
a
get
nihilist form of pacifism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I just meant, like, I was surprised to see I'm glad they have the atomic bomb written in ink in the book.
Especially like so soon after its inception too.
Yeah.
You know,
6
like
years.
Yeah, and in a book that is commonly banned and clearly has a lot of influence over left-wing personalities. So that's part of the reason I'm just surprised to see that in ink.
Point. That's a good point. The historical context of when this book came out, that might have.
And the context of who you've said has like specifically said they're influenced by this book. So that, like, the personalities you guys have been talking about, like Billy Joel and Armstrong and
Gerard Way and John Lennon.
Gerard Way. Yes, I was struggling to remember John Lennon's name for a moment.
I mean,
Beatles guy.
of like people with a wry, sarcastic sense of humor, at least for Billy Joe and John Lennon. That's they're both known to take a joke a little bit too far and have a bit of foot and mouth syndrome.
Yeah.
You know what is interesting is I forget if it was last episode or the episode before, but we had said like, hey, Catcher in the Rye also is kind of picked up in some circles as like validation for incels. And at the time, we were like, what the hell are you talking about? But this is the first section where
can
there
see
were
that
some
now.
things that came up where I went, oh, yes, I
Yeah.
can see how this becomes twisted into that for sure.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. But yeah, no, this is clearly where that's coming from.
And not only that, but do you remember the part where, God, where did I write that down? I think it was like right in the beginning. Because Holden is talking about girls, and okay, page 176. The bottom of page 176, Holden says, the trouble with girls is if they like a boy, no matter how big a bastard he is, they'll say he has an inferiority complex. And if they don't like him, no matter how nice a guy he is or how big an inferiority complex he has, they'll say he's conceited. Even smart girls do it. That
Yeah,
was
that
the
sounds like
line
something.
that, yes.
Yeah, sounds like it's right out of a incel forum somewhere.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And the thing is within the mind of like one solitary, troubled 16-year-old boy, I mean, it's not necessarily like some horrible, like part of development and growing up, you are like going to have thoughts that are shitty and selfish and wrong,
You are
And
going to have
this,
thoughts. End of statement.
yes. And this book, obviously, the whole conceit of it is that like you seemingly get like this unfiltered uh look into Holden's mind. And so I feel like within that context, reading a line like that, it's like, yeah, like, oh, it doesn't look good. Doesn't age well. It's not something that you'd want to be shouting from the rooftops or putting on social media or in any context where it's going to influence others and you're going to try to like bring that thought into reality. And like, I mean, this is like, yes, the manosphere fucking influencer machine that is wicked, and it does corrupt people, and it is wrong.
Yep.
But I feel like for Holden in the 50s, this is just like one kid who's struggling and has not matured enough yet to realize the ways in which this thought process is wrong.
Yeah, let's not like fool ourselves into thinking that this was not a common thought for young men, for a long time. I mean, it just wasn't turned into a thing at like critical mass the same way it has been these last few years with the rise of the manosphere. Because yeah, unfortunately it's a common sentiment, and Connor's right. Like, that's part of growing up and maturing as a young boy turning into a young man. You learn why you're
Not to
wrong
be a
about
dick.
these things. Yeah, exactly. And so I think that's part of the lesson. And I mean, it's not even, I don't know. I think there's a level of humanity so far given to the female characters too, that like if Holden was just like a rabid misogynist, I don't think we would get that, like, because he's clearly, I mean, I think we should talk about the scene with Sally, because I mean, he's shitty to her. He's really
Yeah.
shitty
Oh
to
yeah. He's a
her.
complete
And yeah,
douchebag. Yeah.
and it's clear that he is totally in the wrong here.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think that's part of the reason why, again, we go back to these figures that have resonate with this book, and I think part of it is because, like, yeah, Holden is the main character, but he's like not in the right all the time.
Mhm.
And this is one of the things that we've seen already, that he's
This is
clear. Yeah,
sorry. Go ahead.
I'm just saying we're seeing he's clearly uh, not thinking right, especially when it comes to matters of sex and relationships.
Right. I was going to say this is one of those examples where protagonist does not mean they are the good guy.
Yeah.
100%.
And importantly, too, Connor, I'm glad you pointed out, like, hey, especially looking at the female characters in this book, I think that they are portrayed with a lot of understanding and like respects and uh, and um, I guess like worthwhile. Worthwhile is not a good word. What I'm trying to say is, like, yes, the female characters are often put in opposition with Holden, and when they are in conflict with one another, it's pretty clear to the reader, or at least I think it should be, that yes, Holden does not have the right of the situation, and that because like they're having this conflict, you're kind of meant to realize, like, yeah, like that Holden is not being reasonable or respectful or kind in any manner. So really, the only thing I also want to make mention of is significantly, it seems from the way that these events are portrayed and the way that the book is written, that Salinger does not endorse all of the thoughts of Holden. And we've kind of felt like you can kind of, get a handle on which ones he may. I was suggesting maybe last episode, I was like, maybe Salinger really does like kind of get frustrated seeing people show off or while they're performing on stage or something. Maybe he really does think that that's kind of almost a humiliating way of like being an artist, or not as legitimate. Maybe he does, but he definitely does not endorse Holden's thoughts on women. And this specific line that I had just read about how, like, oh, even the smart girls, only go after guys who, say they don't have an inferiority complex, or however he words it. That's what Holden thinks. That's not what Salinger thinks or endorses. And I think that's the exact, like, that's the fork in the road between, hey, this book is popular in some more left-leaning, it's not a leftist text, but like if we're gonna try to put it on like a political spectrum, Catcher in the Rye could show up on people who have wildly different politics. And so the fact that it's been co-opted and absorbed by like right-wing manosphere influencers, and also famously read by more left-leaning figures like Billy Joe, Gerard Way, John Lennon, blah, blah, blah. I think that goes to show, in my opinion, I think that people who are embracing it on a more leftist tolerant side are reading it from the perspective of the author Salinger. And the people who are embracing it from the right conservative side are considering it from the perspective of Holden, the character. And that is like the key problem with how
that's a great point. And that's just kind of a like a broader issue with how some people consume art. It's like a lot of the people, like, it goes back to like the Starship Troopers thing, right? Like that whole debate over if it's a right wing or a left wing movie. It just depends on if you think the main character is always doing the right things or not, or if you agree with it. Like, they, some people don't care to, they can't, or they don't care to look any deeper than taking the words and the main character at face value, and that's where that dilemma comes from, I think.
Yeah, I didn't mean to be overly verbose getting to that point, but yes,
No,
that's exactly
yeah.
what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Well, Josh is frozen, so I think it's
Oh,
a
am
good
I?
time to take a
Shit.
quick 2-minute break. So I gotta pee. I gotta do pee.
Yeah, I gotta
All
be
right.
too.
All right,
Quick break.
we'll
Let's
be
do it.
right back, folks.
Hey, we're back.
Hey.
All right. We can just jump on back into it whenever you're
All
ready.
right. I'm ready. Just give me a thumbs up or something so I know it's on.
It's on.
It's
Thumbs
on.
up.
It's on right now.
Oh, it's on. It's
This
on.
is just what we're doing. Okay, got
Yep.
it. Oh man, Connor, what are you drinking? What do you got? Wow, is that your second 2-liter of the day?
No, that's my first of the day. I woke up. I had 2 cups of coffee while I was finishing up the chapters, reading the chapters, and now I've transitioned to my main bevy of the day.
Josh, I'm sure you got some water.
Absolutely.
All right, well, enough talking crap.
Connor, what are you drinking? What are you drinking? Share with the class.
I am drinking this beer. It's called Tropical Beer Hug, but it has a bear on it. It's like a bear hug.
Do you feel like you're being hugged by the booze?
A little bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean it's a strong drink. I don't know. It's no Golden Monkey, I'll tell you that much. But it's good. It's good for when you're podcasting. It's good for when you
Yeah,
just want to crack open a beer and chat.
totally.
With friends.
It's a good pod beer.
It is. Yeah. I would definitely recommend it for that. Here's what I want to jump back into. We were just talking about Holden and Sally and their date. The conversation that they start to have at the end of their date. And Josh, I'm going to start with you, if you don't mind.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I'm just going to read a quick passage here. And I just want to get your thoughts on it. So Holden says, "Hey, Sally." She goes, "What? Did you ever get fed up? I mean, did you ever get scared that everything was going to go lousy unless you did something? I mean, do you like school and all that stuff? It's a terrific bore. I mean, do you hate it? I know it's a terrific bore, but do you hate it, is what I mean? Well, I don't exactly hate it. You always have to." He cuts her off. "Well, I hate it. Boy, do I hate it." Josh, how did you feel about school growing up?
It had ups and downs. I was never particularly fond of homework.
All right,
And-
Sally.
I mean, I didn't hate it. There were definitely classes that I didn't enjoy, but there were others that I still remember fondly, and others that were just frankly foundational to my career. So,
Connor?
I mean, I think you know how I felt about school.
Oh, you hated
Yeah.
it. Boy, did you hate it.
Boy, did I hate that terrible place.
I'm wondering if feelings about school really might be something that not only informs where we stand on this conversation, but maybe even the larger idea of how we've been feeling about this book. Now, I don't think that Catcher in the Rye is about a kid who doesn't like school. I think Holden doesn't like school because of the person that he is and because of the experiences that he's had. I think Holden hating school is a symptom of like his brother dying and all this other shit, you know? But I do think that Holden's hate of school and also this whole idea of like, I don't know, I guess like Holden feeling like he doesn't fit into society, feeling like I think Holden essentially in this moment feels like okay, I know that I'm kind of rambling again, but I think Holden hates school because he sees it as a means to an end. And so he's like, oh, well, if I go to school, then it just means that I'm going to like get a job that school's able to, enable me to have. And then it's like, then I'm on this track for the rest of my life and it's over. I might as well be dead, And Sally doesn't see it that way. Sally sees it as like a pathway to a future and like creating a stable life. And I think that's really that's really where they're not seeing eye to eye. And I guess I kind of wonder if maybe that's also maybe informs like how Connor and I might have felt like this book was more relatable, and thinking back to like how we felt about these things when we were younger versus Josh. And again, I'm not saying that it's as black and white as that, but I thought about that in this moment, and I'm wondering how you guys feel about that. Do you think that's fair to say, or do you think I'm way off?
No, I think you have a good point. I mean, yeah, I clearly had a better time at school than both of you. Um, and I've always known that school doesn't resonate the same way with everybody, and I can see how Holden falls on that side of the spectrum. So it, I can see why you might. I just completely forgot the word. Connect with him,
Mm.
more than I have. That's absolutely almost certainly a factor.
Yeah, I mean, I'm certain that if I was at a snazzy prep school like Pensy, I would be in the same boat as Holden. I wouldn't have made it. I mean, I my entire school career, I kind of just floated on by without, I mean, miraculously, passing through each year somehow without really doing anything. I mean, I I took it seriously in the way that like it caused me great stress and anxiety. I didn't take it seriously in the way that I actually worked hard um to pass or better myself, or just because I always knew it wasn't for me. And I mean, I know a lot of people will push back on that and be like, oh, you gotta try and see or whatever. So I just like, I don't know, deep down I always knew. And I don't know. And similarly to Holden, like I didn't have people that really pushed me to get good grades or take it seriously. I mean, as much as I love my parents, I think they were a little distracted at times with other things, and it's so I kind of just like floated on by, and uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't feel. I mean, I 100% resonate and relate to Holden in that way. I think that's absolutely, it's personality types. I think where Josh is he's somewhere different on the spectrum than I am, or you are, Connor. I know we're not exactly at the same points on the spectrum either, but
Yeah.
closer certainly to each other than Josh.
Yeah.
So I think that does 100% explain a lot about how this book really works for us or doesn't work for us.
Yeah. And then I thought it was interesting because I think that Holden starts off at like this kind of sympathetic point of being like, oh, well, I hate school. I actually do really hate it. And it's like, yeah, okay. And then, I mean, what he ends up, I swear he ends up talking about like a chimp wearing pants, as like representative of like how he feels like he's gonna be stuck for the rest of his life in like this cookie cutter box. And he kind of launches into this like very scatterbrained uh plea in a way, for, I think, trying to break out of it, not in any coherent or cogent kind of manner, but I think that's like the heart of what he's kind of trying to express in this very desperate way. And ultimately, I think that both Holden and Sally, I felt like they were both very sympathetic in a very realistic way here, because I don't think Holden's able to articulate how he's feeling, but I know that I've felt the way that Holden is feeling here in this moment. And I know that causes like pain or anxiety to others in your life who love you and are like, you are making bad decisions for yourself, and Sally, I think, is like, well, this is a crazy idea. We can't just go to Vermont. What the fuck are you talking about? And so, of course, like, they don't come to any common ground. I thought it was interesting that later, when Holden calls and Sally talks to him, I think Sally's mature enough too. She realizes Holden's drunk, and she's just telling him what she thinks he needs to hear in order to get him to calm down and be safe and sleep it off or whatever. But
Probably.
I thought it was interesting that Sally talks to him at all. I thought that she would just blow him off after that.
I
Same here.
think she genuinely. I mean, what was most interesting to me is that when, because Holden, right away he's like, I don't really love her. I don't really want to do this, but in the moment I meant it. Like,
Yes.
So what was interesting to me is like she told him that she loved him right away. Like,
Yes.
and when he went on that crazy tear about moving to the country and living out their lives and whatever, she's like, yeah, well, we can do that stuff later. We have to set up our lives first and get through school. Like, she's for it. She is for spending her life with Holden. Like,
Exactly.
Poor girl.
yeah, and it's sad because I mean, she's no Jane,
Mm-hmm.
and
Whatever that means. I mean, she doesn't keep her kings in the back row. I can
she
tell you that much.
Yeah.
she doesn't. That's the big
We
issue.
haven't-
No.
Actually met Jane at all. We just hear about her through Holden.
Yeah, and what's
And
really
stab with her a little bit.
what's really crazy to me is that in the phone booth there, when he's drunk as hell, he thinks about calling Jane first, but he decides against it and calls
Yeah.
Sally instead. It's almost like he knows that calling Jane now would damage the potential of that relationship, and he doesn't want to risk that,
Yeah.
even in his drunkest state.
And I think also, to Josh's point about Holden like fearing change, I think that as long as he doesn't call Jane, then Jane can still be this perfect little memory that he can keep thinking about,
Yep.
But if he calls her, then he has to open the box, and he has to come face to face with whatever reality brings, good or bad. And so I think as long as he doesn't call Jane, then Jane is in that little museum exhibit for him. And that's like safe. He can control that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. You're absolutely right. Yeah, I think that's definitely why he's keeping her at a because he's known, there, like, he can potentially reach out to her and reach her, but he's putting that off for a reason. So I think you're right. Both of you guys are right about that.
And also on the conversation, I just want to add on, because Holden says, again, he's like talking about, he's like, let's go to Massachusetts or Vermont. He says, I could chop all our own wood in the wintertime and all. Honest to God, we could have a terrific time. What do you say? Come on. What do you say? Will you do it with me? Please. You can't just do something like that, old Sally said. She sounded sore as hell. Why not? Why the hell not? Stop screaming at me, please, she said, which was crap because I wasn't even screaming at her. It's funny that he acknowledges that he does scream when he gets animated later with Luce. So he definitely is screaming in this moment. I got to admit, this is something that I do, so this was a weird moment to read. But anyways,
What, you?
yeah, I know.
Especially after a few drinks.
I know. This was a bit of a mirror. I'm like, uh-oh, I'm part of the problem. He says, why can't you? Why not? She says, because you can't. That's all. So I don't know. I don't want to talk in circles about this, but I do think that Salinger writes about these characters and their conflict very honestly, because like this is a real struggle. Essentially, what we're having here is two characters with different perspectives on essentially like existing within a society. And at some point, as you get older, like you become increasingly aware that, you know, there are things that have been built around you that, you know, you have accepted unknowingly for a long time because you were introduced to that as normalcy. And so when you come into the process of critically thinking about these things and then possibly trying to undo them, it's going to create strife with people who accept the things that you are like critically analyzing or that you take issue with. And so like there is an actual like debate to be had in terms of like, why can't I do X, Y, and Z? And then someone goes, because you can't. This happens all the time. And it's a real thing to interrogate. But I think that the way Salinger writes this story, he's already kind of shown that the way that Holden is trying to tackle what is a real issue, the way that he's trying to tackle it is, again, through this immaturity that defines him more and more, because that's kind of what the book is about. He leaves home and he's, when I say home, I'm talking about Pensy. We kind of get what his normalcy is at the beginning of the book. And then Holden is just like, wait, I don't have to be here. I can just go and do whatever I want. I have free will. I can leave. I can take my money. I can go to the city. I can do whatever for the next 3 or 4 days until I have to go back to my parents and, you know, face
explain himself. Yeah.
Right. And so unwittingly to Sally, who thinks that Holden is back from school, presumably, Holden already is living out this insane fantasy that he's suggesting to Sally. He's like, why can't I do these things? I've already left school on my own, went to a hotel, shacked up with a prostitute for 5 minutes. You know, like Holden's like, I've done so much that you wouldn't believe. But of course, none of it's good. At no point in the story does Salinger write about these things where it was like, and Holden was right to accept a prostitute from Maurice. It was like, no, look at the consequences of his actions. All of this is bad. Holden shouldn't be doing this. He shouldn't be putting himself in this situation. And so it's like Holden's ideology, or at least like the questions that he's asking, I think are sound. But Salinger, I think, constructs the story in a way that to sort of show that, you know, he's not ready to address these problems like critically. You know, and this is what we keep going back to. Holden sees these things. It's almost like his problem. He does have a way of seeing through these things. He sees like a clearer truth than others. And I think that's true. But it's kind of a curse because then he takes action on it in a way that like only harms himself. So that's it. That's what I wanted to add about that.
Yeah, no, I think it's true. Quite similar to the curse of prescience that Paul Atreides says in
Holden is such a Paul. Oh my god,
he's such a Paul. Imagine if, I mean, okay, again, we're gonna play the game of Holden, Caulfield in different stories. Yeah. Imagine if he was in Paul's role in Dune.
Yeah, that'd
be
how
insufferable,
hilarious that would be. What would fucking happen? I mean, what would happen? Would the jihad still happen in the same way? Would it be just a lot more dumb? You know,
way dumber.
Yeah, yeah.
Imagine Holden with prescience. That would be the funniest thing.
Oh my god, that's kind of a scary thought. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would put that guy on an atom bomb. I really would.
Yeah, exactly. Put him on top of a stone burner for Christ's sake.
Yeah, I was gonna say on the Atreides atomics. Yeah,
Yeah. But no, I think you're right. Yeah, it is this curse of, I mean, it reminds me of kids that, they people will say, "Oh, I was in a gifted program as a kid," and um like everyone thought I was mature, but when they think you're mature for your age, sometimes I think the parts that need to be nurtured are left unnurtured or underserved, and I think in a way that's kind of similar to what happened to Holden, whereas yeah, I mean his parents were swept away in their grief from losing one of their children, and he ended up neglected.
Mhm.
Maybe they thought he was processing it all right, and they're just too hands off to realize. And because in a way he is mature for his age, and in a way you could see him and be like, oh yeah, he's fine, he's totally fine, but with no further investigation, you just kind of, oh yeah, let's ship him off to boarding school, he'll be fine, it'll be good for him to get
It's
around other
fine.
kids. Yeah, he's fine, um but it turns out he's not that fine.
yeah. Turns
He is
out.
unraveling as we speak.
Yep.
Connor, what else do you think we should talk about as we kind of get to the end of our conversation here?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he goes on a bit more about how he hates actors. He talks about, hating movies, hating actors, playing people playing pretend, and I liked what he said about sometimes actors are so good that they're kind of like, they know they're good and they're kind of showing off, and then at that point they become bad. They
Yes.
become not good at that point. And I know what he's talking about. I think that is true. But he kind of writes off. He almost just writes off the whole uh, medium because
Yeah.
Yeah.
that aspect annoys him. Um, and we didn't talk either about the guy that they or maybe we didn't, I'm forgetting, the during the intermission of the play with Sally, she runs into one of her old
Oh yeah,
friends,
we didn't
and
mention him at
Yeah.
all.
We didn't
yeah,
talk about
and uh and Sally chats him up, and he just drives Holden crazy. Holden, the entire time, he's in his head saying, this fucking motherfucker, this fucking prick,
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
this fucking asshole, who does he think he is? um which is, I don't know, that's just a classic feeling. I don't know. I've felt that way before too about
Yeah.
certain people, and I don't know. So that was just really funny, and that is kind of what leads to his outburst uh, to Sally later on during their when they're having drinks together or whatever, having cokes together, and uh, also I'll acknowledge, Sally, like he makes Sally cry, and Sally says, like,
Mhm.
no man has ever spoken to me like that before. Like,
Yeah.
he has crossed the line. Like, it's clear, like, hey, all these guys might be phony and they might be machismo jackasses, but but right now you are crossing the line. Like you're
Mhm.
not, you're not um immune to being a real a-hole,
Piece of work.
piece of
Yes.
work, real piece of work.
Yes.
And I mean, I think he realizes that, but he doesn't really even care. He doesn't, at the end, he doesn't, like, he's like, oh, I felt bad, but not really,
Yeah. Yeah.
in whatever words he used. But yeah. And he goes on a real bender, and it is like, there's a lot of things I relate to Holden with, but like there's just a level of recklessness and abandon that he is dealing with that yeah, it can lead to a really dark place. And like, I mean, I think this is like, I've never, luckily, I've never really been to that point. I've gone through hard, like, I mean, as a 16-year-old, I guess, that's tougher to handle as a 16-year-old than as somebody in their 30s or 20s even.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, this is like he is dealing with something that is above his age range. And yeah, like, when will it get to the point where where it really all blows up in his face? Because it feels like it's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little apprehensive about how this book ends. I actually wrote a note at the end of chapter 20 here when he's heading home for the first time,
Yeah.
like truly heading home, and it's like, oh boy, here we go. I'm not thrilled about all the death talk throughout chapter 20 and his fantasizing about dying of pneumonia. It's like, is this going to be heading to a place where he ends up attempting or even succeeding in committing suicide by the end of the book? Like, I don't know because I've never read it before, and please don't tell me one or the other.
Of course.
I'll find out next week. And I'm very interested in how his parents are going to react to him showing up at their door on what is this going to be, Monday? And how is Phoebe going to react? Because we've only heard of his unchanging perspective of her. He hasn't seen her in a couple of months now. Is she going to want to see him?
Yeah.
How is she going to react to him showing up randomly? And is it going to be positive? And how is he going to handle that? That's what I'm worried about.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It's right. Not only does she want to see him, but it's like, does she want to see him unannounced at, I mean, what time is it?
Yeah.
We know it has to be past 10 p.m. because that's when he met with Luce for drinks. So he's going to
probably
show
like
up
midnight, 1 a.m.
Yeah. So his plan is to show up stinking drunk at midnight or later, unannounced, days before he's supposed to even be there, coming home from school.
Yep.
Like, what kid's sister is going to be like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, brilliant plan.
I mean, that sounds like he's set to traumatize her. Is what just this is setting up.
I mean, Holden's like kind of single-mindedness about meeting back up with Phoebe, I think, has been one of the most troubling aspects of this section, because like it kind of like it starts off sort of sweet. He goes to get the record for her. We talked about that whole Shirley Beans, whatever. And it's like, on the one hand, okay, that's kind of sweet. It's her brother. But of course, when he goes to try to meet her in the park, knowing that, like, oh, hey, sometimes my mom will bring her to the park for skating or whatever. It's like, so you're just going to secretly meet up with her? It's like, he's just not thinking straight. Obviously, it doesn't make sense. And it makes even less sense now that he's fucked up and it's late at night and he's just going to go sneak into his own house, and try to meet up with her. I mean, obviously it's nuts. So
yeah, gonna have to find out next time how that goes down for him.
The thrilling conclusion of Catcher in the Rye.
I do have one more note I want to throw out there, just as I was scrolling through my notes. And it is on something that we talked about before. I just forgot to mention it, but I think it's worth throwing out there. It's when Luce is talking about Holden needing to be psychoanalyzed, on page 192, I think Holden's asking, like, psychoanalyze? What the heck does that mean? On page 192, Luce says he wouldn't do a goddamn thing to you, talking about his father, talking about if Holden were psychoanalyzed. He says he wouldn't do a goddamn thing to you. He'd simply talk to you, and you talk to him, for God's sake. For one thing, he'd help you recognize the patterns of your mind. That what? The patterns of your mind. Your mind runs in, listen, I'm not giving you an elementary course in psychoanalysis. And then he stops there. Now, I thought this was a really important line because we've been talking about the patterns of Holden's mind since the outset. And I think this line really speaks to just how vividly Salinger has managed to write Holden as a character. Because even by the end of that first episode, definitely by the second episode of our discussion, we're already making fun of Holden. We're making fun of his speech patterns. We're making fun of the ways that he constantly repeats the same thoughts in his mind. And so to have a character like Luce, despite all the criticisms we might have of him, we've already listed that. But Luce is also onto something here. He's like, Holden, you have these patterns. Holden is like, the what? My mind runs in what? Like, he has no fucking clue, right? And yet, that's kind of the stroke of genius here. That at this point in the book, Salinger is counting on the reader to have picked up on these things that he has painstakingly repeated over and over again for like the last 200 pages nearly at this point. And I think that it was like a really cool moment where, you know, Holden saying all the same shit like, oh, it kills me. It really does. Or we could go down a whole list. I'm not going to sit here and go over every single thing that Holden says or does. But there is a real list you could go down about things he always freaking does. And so Salinger as the author does cue you into and acclimate you to these patterns of Holden's thought process, of his speech process. And then to have a character comment on it and be like, yeah, the patterns of your mind. And Holden's just like, huh, what? And it's like, you've been reading this guy's inner thoughts the whole fucking book. You know what the patterns are. And so like that discrepancy between, it's almost like a kind of dramatic irony, because you as the reader have a better understanding of Holden's patterns than the character himself. And so I really loved this moment of it being commented on and Holden's cluelessness to it. I think both those things are like very telling, and it just goes to show like how deliberately and how, I don't know, tactfully and artfully I think that Salinger not only writes about Holden, but like the text itself is Holden. Like when you're reading Catcher in the Rye, it's not like, oh, this is about Holden Caulfield. No, the fuck it's not. You are inside of Holden Caulfield, you know? And that's like kind of the crazy perspective shift that I think makes this book as unique and interesting as it is, that you get this inside look into him. And so that's, I just wanted to throw that out there too. That's it. That's my last note.
Okay.
There you have it.
Just two small things I just wanted to mention, just so we have them out there in the ether before we wrap up. Is at the end of this section, Holden drops the record he was holding for Phoebe. It shatters into a bunch of pieces, and he puts it in his jacket, even though they're useless now. So that's upsetting. Also, he's nearly out of money now. He's pretty much out of money.
Yeah.
Getting there. So he's in a significantly worse place mentally and like economically and socially than he was just a little bit ago. Building up to these last few chapters.
Yes.
Yeah. Can I remember that next Tuesday when I read?
Anything else, Josh, you want to mention before we truly wrap up here?
No, I think we actually got through all my notes, which I'm surprised at because I wrote a lot of notes this time. I think the only thing I didn't explicitly say was that I think the best advice he's gotten this entire book was Luce telling him to go to therapy. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, cool. This was a great talk. Thank you guys. Something I wanted to throw out there. I know it feels like we're about to wrap this up. We only have one more discussion ahead of us, but
We have 6 chapters too.
we have 6 chapters. I don't know if you've looked at the page length. It's a little bit longer. We've read about 200 pages, and there is just under 80 pages left, meaning that for all we've read, we actually have a little under 1/3 of the book left ahead of us. That's how much we're about to read for our last discussion here. Out of a 277-page book, we're on page 203 currently. So
You know-
we have a pretty big chunk to read and discuss.
For most other books, I would be like, well, let's just split it into 2 more weeks instead. Or like, I'd be like, oh, what a drag! I have to read almost 80 pages. But for this book, guys, I love this book, so I'm excited to get to drive right through it.
Nice.
Yeah, I get the feeling this is gonna be one of those books where everything kind of comes to a head really quickly, and I think these pages are gonna go quickly.
Yeah, and I do feel like the way that this section ends, wrapping up chapter 20 with a lot of these chapters, they don't really end with any inkling of what's going to happen next. Sometimes Holden will just say like something like "goddamn money, it always makes you blue as hell," and then you're like, okay, what the fuck? Like a lot of these chapters, it feels like they just end, and you're like, what is even going to be the next chapter?
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that, of course, the final chapter of our section here, Holden tells you exactly what his plan is. And this whole book has kind of been about him avoiding going home or prolonging going home. And so for him to acknowledge that that's his plan, and like as a reader, you're like, oh, wait, like we're kind of being primed for, something that's been talked up, like something is going to fucking happen. I do think structurally it's a really interesting place for this discussion to leave off on, and absolutely I think it means like we just have to get through the ending, because I think if it feels like if we were to discuss just the next 2 or 3 chapters, it would be half of a discussion. I think that everything in front of us is, I guess what it needs to be. This is the part to read and discuss, this finality.
Yeah, I think that's true. It is just funny because like as like it's not a very dense book in the way that people usually refer to books as being dense. It's not like a Dune or whatever, or I don't know, Lord of the Rings, but
Left Hand of Darkness,
Left Hand of Darkness. But there's like, we've gotten a lot of discussion out of this book. Our episodes are like 2 hours or more, which is crazy for Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah,
like
especially when
next
we're trying
week,
to make them shorter.
I know next week is going to be 3 hours or something. Like it's funny how much conversation we get out of this book in comparison to books that are like known for their density and their philosophical relevance or whatever. Like
yeah.
So I've we should prime ourselves for next week.
Yeah, good point. And hey, here's hoping that all our schedules align, because let's bring it home. Let's read Catcher in the Rye on.
That's on you, Connor. That's on you.
We'll see.
Actually, guy, I'm actually realizing right now that I actually might not be able to do Wednesday or Thursday next week.
Really?
Yeah, because my dad and sister are coming to town. For
all right.
There goes our streak.
What does that mean? You know what? We'll talk about that off the pod.
I think there's. I think it could still be salvageable, but we'll talk about it off the pod and schedule it. But I just remembered that. So
that's hilarious. That's great.
Yeah.
And like Wednesday and Thursday are the days that like we're meant to do something.
Yes.
So, all right, we'll talk about it.
It's a bit of a cliffhanger for the listeners.
Yeah,
Are the Chapter Chumps going to stick to their reading schedule?
Will they? Won't they?
Find out. Follow us on Twitter and Blue Sky
Yeah, take it
And-
away,
and
Josh.
nope, that's as much as I can remember.
Okay. Take it
All
away,
right,
Connor.
folks. Thank you. Thank you for listening. If you like what you hear and you want more, you can follow us on social media on Blue Sky and Twitter at Chapter Chumps. We're still posting, right, guys?
No.
On Twitter? No, I don't think
What,
so.
Connor?
We
You're not
post on Blue
posting
Sky,
anymore?
though.
No, I haven't been anything. No.
Well, you got to get your ass in gear. What are you
Yeah.
doing?
I don't know. I just
Shit
haven't.
post.
I just haven't.
Post politics to get engagement.
I just haven't felt like
God.
it. I just. You got to be in the right mood for that. I just haven't
I
been in
know.
the right mood.
No, I know. All right, and yeah, you can also email us at corruptedtvproductions@gmail.com. We stream on Twitch every week at Corrupted Television on Twitch. We stream our conversations live. We also upload them to YouTube at youtube.com. We are at Corrupted TV, TEEVEE. And if you want, you can also go to Apple Podcasts and give us a nice review and a 5-star rating. That would be much appreciated. We would love you forever and kiss you on the feet if you do that.
Gross.
Just to entice you. But most importantly, folks, until next time.
Holden really said, "School sucks." I know.
Just like a young Mr. DeLong, I know.
Mm-hmm. Did he ever read? Has Tom DeLonge read a book? Is the first question I have.
Oh, he's only read books about aliens.
Okay, gotcha. So, but there has been an alien in Catcher in the Rye. Don't forget.
That's a great point. There, what was it? Kazoo, right?
Kazoo, the great Kazoo.
Kazoo was it? Yeah, that's a great point.
Right.
He could have read it. Yeah.
So maybe.
Where the fuck was there an alien?
Maybe.
All right, guys.
All right, we're
School sucks. I know aliens exist. Well, I guess this is growing up.
done. Great.